So we have a counter-terrorism success in Mali, where multiple jihadists were neutralized in multiple well-orchestrated decapitation assaults. And in this attack, several items were captured, and these include rifles of various grades, rockets, propelled grenades, food items and beddings. Even multiple motorcycles were included, according to the Malian official outlets. Let's watch this video.
On October 19, 2025, the farmer successfully carried out strikes on enemy targets successively in the Sousans forest not far from Diowiya and southwest of Dougabougou in the Segou region on a gathering of armed terrorist groups. During the same day, an offensive reconnaissance mission on Temu, a locality located southwest of Bewani, led to the neutralization of several terrorists. Southwest of Dougabougou, a newly established training camp was also destroyed. Continuing their offensive reconnaissance mission on Baliware in the Segou region, the farmer pushed back about 50 terrorists towards Diakarouare, most of whom were neutralized by airstrikes. During this mission, several terrorists were neutralized, bases and support points were destroyed, vehicles and weapons were burned, and manufacturing equipment was recovered by the farmer. On the same day, October 19, 2025, a terrorist drone flying over Nsukala in the Segou region was shot down by the Malian Armed Forces. On Monday, October 20th, 2025, the farmer aviation successfully dealt with two large groups of terrorist motorcyclists a few kilometers west of Wa in the Segou region.
So what do you think? What would they have been doing with the system and the printer? What do you think?
With what we are seeing on the screen, we can actually see the system, we can see the monocular, and we can see the printer. You know, as little as these details are, we need to take, cognizance of all those things that we are seeing. Because when you're seeing a printer right there, what could they have been doing with it? It means that some people are training them, some people are, you know, helping them, or do they have specialists within their camp that knows how to manipulate the computer? Now, another thing is, you know, when it comes to their simulation, you know, the training of how to operate a drone, we've actually seen so many instances where they actually, you know, used the, you know, to learn how to manipulate the drone capability. They actually used a system, but now we're seeing the ThinkPad, a very good elite ThinkPad. And I do think these things are supplied to these people. You know, they don't just jump to the market and get some of these things. These people cannot even speak English. You can see that most of the time they are always speaking the local dialect and all of that, but I feel like somebody is helping them. So I feel like with a printer, you know, there might be some scanning going on. You know, the operations of those people, we never can tell how deep it is. And given the monocular right there, I think the monocular must have fell off from the actual rifle, you know, given the fact that the shock wave that actually came from, you know, the airstrikes, you know, it could have caused a very devastating damage, and it could have led to this capabilities flying out of its rifle. So I do feel like it's a long race, and given the fact that the people that are interested in the resources of Mali continue to harm, reharm, and try to train these people on so many capabilities so that they can match up the advancements in warfare, in the modern warfare capabilities, which has a lot to do with technology and all of that. So I believe that it is very good, because the more they harm these people, the more the Malians recover this weapon. And you can see that in this operation, multiple equipment were recovered, but still, to me, I still feel like it's a very successful operation. By the end of the day, you know, good things were captured, and it only helps the Malian know that, man, the people we're fighting, they continue, because the people we are fighting are not the people you are seeing on the ground. Those are the foot soldiers. The people that you are going against are the people that formed this man. But as long as we stay here, as long as we're resilient, as long as we stand with our heroism and patriotism, I think the battle should be won.
Given the fact that the operation was successful, some of them still escaped. So what do you have to?
Number one thing that we need to take account of is the fact that this was a very, very highly coordinated assault. In fact, the reason why we call it a decapitation assault was because, you know, they were encircled initially. If you watch the video critically, you can see that every perimeter of this, you know, region where this offensive was launched, you know, it was actually surrounded with infantry all over the place. Now, you know, some of these drones that the Malian use actually have the ISR capability, you know, so they actually launched a decapitation assault. But one thing we discover is that most of the time, I know a lot of you have been looking at the counter-offensive situation in the Sahel, you've been looking at the operations. One thing I noticed is that once they drop the TNTs on these elements, some of them still end up escaping. And this time around, if you watch the video critically, you could see that a lot of these elements escaped, even though the strike was actually precise and accurate. I was... when I saw the numbers that actually escaped, I know I don't have to be like this, but I was disappointed. Because how could it have been if those, you know, Banderites have actually been welcomed to the gates of Valhalla? You know, they would have been drinking ale from carved on. But unfortunately, a lot of them escaped. Now, we've had some of our people, you know, tell us that some of them might actually have been injured from the shrapnels that must have been, you know, unloaded and unpacked from these TNTs. But what I do feel, because I could see right in the video that one of them actually fell immediately and he stood up. So I felt like it was as a result of the effect of the shockwave. But what I can say about this whole eventuality is that I think the Malians the Malians, the Nigerians, because I think they all use the same thing, but I think the Nigerians, you know, with their Songo drone, I think the devastation could actually be very, very catastrophic, because we've actually not seen the Songo drone actually drop a real-time TNT on elements, you know, but we'll soon see that But the Barakte Akinshi drone, you know, is actually a very effective capability. But at the end of the day, you know, a lot of these elements still escape. But you know, how beautiful would it have been if all of them got obliterated immediately? It would have been very, very fantastic. And when I saw it right there, but again, we have to understand something. It's a catch-22. They could have been obliterated, and there is no way you would have been able to track some of them back to their hideout. Now we have to understand something, that intentionally sometimes the Malians used to leave some of those people, the AS forces leave them to escape so that they can know where they are going to fall back to. It is when they know where they are going to fall back to, they launch another counter-offensive, they launch another decapitation assault, and that is what we've seen most of the time. So whichever way it goes, you know, either it swings right or it swings left, the Malians are still going to come out on top at the end of the day. And this is another show of force. This is another show of strength. This is the Malian negotiating once again with overwhelming firepower. Bina Diarra has been calling out Assimi Goïta recently, trying to get, you know, a response from Assimi Goïta, but it's like comparing day to night. You know, they're not on the same level any day and at any time. And you know, a lot of people have been criticizing that Assimi Goïta have been too quiet. He has not been doing anything. I'm talking about the Malian journalists that are in diaspora. They have been talking too much about, you know, the silence of Assimi Goïta. But I can guarantee you, this is how you respond, and this is how you close a show. Ladies and gentlemen, are you entertained?
According to reports in Mali, the illegal gold miners were seen leaving the mines today. So can you tell us what transpired?
So the Malian authorities have actually warned these illegal miners for quite a while, right? They've told them evacuate the illegal mine, live there, so that the majority of the Malian population can benefit from their natural resources. But you know, in a country where the resources is so much, like I used to say, the glory of Mali walks hand in hand with its doom. Mali is so blessed to the point that nobody will just let it be. The Malians have to understand these realities today. Not just the people that are disturbing you currently, a lot more people are involved. A lot more actors are involved in the destabilization agenda in Mali. Too many foreign interests. It's not just the ones you are thinking. A lot of, you know, multinational companies that have actually been, you know, told to leave. They're actually involved in this whole crusade against Mali. And Mali must continue to stand tall, mentally, spiritually, and physically. And when it comes to their military capability, you can never harm yourself enough in the face of this aggression. Now, what I do have to say about this is that we can actually see in the video we actually watched today that, you know, they were not leaving. They were standing their ground until they saw the Malian, you know, Air Force. The fighter jets were on their way. And immediately they spotted two fighter jets from the distance. You can actually see everybody, you know, like my people will say, they took to their heels. Ladies and gentlemen, you could actually see some trucks, right, leaving the camp. Ladies and gentlemen, they've actually evacuated the camp. And as we speak, not even one person is left in the camp. Ladies and gentlemen, let's watch this video.
الله أكبر. إيه؟ أرمينا كنت سقالنا إترا.
So we are beginning to see a lot of African presidents putting on the military uniform. We have seen this with President Duma and Nandi. So what is this thing with Ruto, the president of Kenya?
Yeah, we live in a era where the civilian presidents are now emulating what you have going on in the Sahel. You know, President Duma have actually said multiple times that Ibrahim Traore is his friend and he likes what Ibrahim Traore is doing. He said Ibrahim Traore wakes up in the morning and whatever he pronounces in his country is law and order. He said, but when he says anything in his country, you know, nobody gives a fly about him. Everybody's going to look at him like, what is this one talking about? So he said he's going to be ready to take drastic action unapologetically. So he has been trying so far so good, because he loves what Traore is doing, they love what Goita is doing, they love the honesty of President Abdurrahman Chiani. So they are trying to emulate these people, and based on their own principles of operation and what they have been doing for their country people so far, you can see that President Duma of Botswana is a very smart president and is really getting a lot of job done, even with the economic crisis they are facing in their country. He's bringing in a lot of investors. Their currency, they are trying to stabilize their currency recently, and they are bringing in a lot of people that want to come and if you want to reside in Botswana right now, you have to be able to invest a huge amount of money in the Botswanan industry for you to be a citizen right now. So he's a very smart man, and he has been taking great steps. And the Netumbo Nandi, the president of Namibia, man, a very phenomenal woman, a powerful woman. And if you look, you can't imagine that in this current era in Africa, a president of Namibia can come ahead. When she came, the first thing she did was to tell the Americans to leave. She's actually doing a very, very fantastic job. That's a woman right there with balls. You call her a man in a woman's skin. So at the end of the day, I think the uniform suit looks very, very fantastic on there. But now, the most disappointing aspect was when I stumbled across President Ruto of Kenya galloping with the military uniform. Now it looks like a jalopy. Now every Kenyan citizen on the screen cannot tell us that President Ruto is going to go down as a legend in this country. These are men that these are certified puppet. They are legitimate puppet. Like President Ruto has done a lot of, man. He came in as a Pan-Africanist, but man, he damaged the word Pan-Africanism. President Ruto right there. So, and another thing we are seeing we are seeing another president here, which is the president of Tanzania. Now we're seeing the president of Tanzania. This woman is actually again wearing the camouflage. I think now we need a reset, okay? Because when everything gets scrambled, they say you go back to your fundamentals. Please, I think at this point, these people need to stop wearing the military uniform before President Tinubu of Nigeria wears the military uniform. Let's go back to Traore. Let's get back to the Traore effect, because we're tired of all this right now. President Duma and Netumbo Nandi can continue to wear this uniform, but when you start going from Ruto to the president of Tanzania, and you start, no man, the whole thing is getting scrambled, and we need a reset right now. We need it so badly. That's what I feel about it. So it doesn't look good on President Ruto. He doesn't deserve it. They're just trying to make a caricature of himself. That's the best I think about it.
What do you have to say about German representatives training Malian troops on peacekeeping?
First of all, that's a red flag right there. I don't still expect any of the AES forces or any of the AES military, capabilities or to be coming from the West. German troops. We do know the African continent was actually scrambled and divided, in Berlin. Berlin is right there in Germany. So German representatives trying to teach, what are these people teaching Africans? What could they have been teaching? What war has German been in after the World War II? You are teaching on peacekeeping. What are you? Mali is not ready to keep any type of peace right now, in my own opinion. I don't think this is time for war. You have elements every day, jihadis, they're actually threatening, trying to sabotage the civilian infrastructure, the civilian energy. They're trying to make the situation in Mali very tense. So what's the peacekeeping about? I think this old German, representatives coming to Mali to talk about peacekeeping is actually ludicrous. I'm not expecting anybody to be in Mali right now talking about peacekeeping. I think what they should be doing right now is to try to return all the capabilities of the Malians that they actually destroyed, that they actually took from Bamako. The surface-to-air missiles, the air defense system capabilities that they took away from Mali. I think that's what they should be trying to replace, not to come to Mali and be talking about peacekeeping. What peace are they keeping? Like, I don't understand. And if you look at the picture right there, you can actually see that Burkina Faso forces are there, they are present, the representatives, the representative of Niger are there. I think in some capacity, the representative of Chad too are there. Yeah, I think it's high time Africans we start embracing and doing our thing by ourselves. We don't need to invite these people to make it look as if now we are doing something legit. We're fighting our wars by ourselves. Burkina Faso is not getting any external help from anywhere. Niger is doing his thing on his own. So I don't know why they should be inviting these people. I might be wrong, I stand to be corrected, but I just feel like Africa should try to do their thing by themselves. So, made in Africa too is perfect.
People would like to know what is going on in Ivory Coast. Can you tell us more on what is going on?
Ladies and gentlemen, our Telegram channel is actually on smokes concerning the situation in Ivory Coast. I have never seen anything like what is going on in Ivory Coast. I have never I've lived around, I've been around for a while. I've never seen what is going on in Ivory Coast before. The way civilians are being treated, and for the fact that they're in a democracy, and for the fact that these people belongs to African Union, and the African Union is not calling out the government of Ivory Coast right now because the people are protesting that Alassane Dramani Ouattara should not be going for the 4th term. But seriously, I will say this: the Ivorians are actually giving up a real fight right now. We can see the oppression, and a lot of people, because this propaganda is now beginning to flow on the social media, that the AES propagandists are beginning to push a narrative that there is a sort of thing going on in Ivory Coast. We have overwhelming video evidence. We can't post it on here for YouTube private policy, but we'll leave our Telegram channel link in the description below. You can go out there and check it for yourself. A lot is going on, and it's not fair. So I think if African Union want to kind of negate what Traore said, that the African Union does not exist, I think this is time for the African Union to step up. Because now you are going to have a sort of coup, and the next thing they are going to say is that, oh, they don't respect the constitutional order. Alassane Ouattara going for the 4th term in Cote d'Ivoire, is it him respecting the constitutional order? Given the fact that the people are saying you don't have to go for the 4th term, you are not going, we are not going to allow it. Ladies and gentlemen, the situation in Ivory Coast is very, very desperate. You go to our Telegram channel, you're going to see some things that are actually going to break your heart. But ladies and gentlemen, that's not my intention. But once again, I want to thank you for being around. Thank you for hanging along with us. Thank you for being here once again. We appreciate you, we love you, and we respect your support. Thanks for watching, and God bless you.
We appreciate your support. Thanks for watching, and God bless you.